5 tips to switch off when you want. So switching off and disconnecting from work has become a real problem for lots of people. Many of the leaders I work with right now are really struggling with this ability to really disconnect and decouple from work when they need. And of course, you know, we've got mobile phones now. We are constantly available. We're navigating 6 or more digital inboxes. And when we've got high workloads and this sense that we've never got enough time to get everything done, it's understandable that people continue to work into the evening, and then even when they want to switch off, they're still churning. So here are the 5 ways to solve that. Tip number 1, get better at switching on during the day. What do I mean? Switching off, switching on, all of this is around using your attention in a very deliberate way. So the first step to switching off is getting better at turning that up during the day. Forgive me if this is unfair, but many of us now spend our days at work in this state of continual partial attention, forever distracted, forever overloaded, and we try and achieve too much in the day. Because we're distracted, it takes us longer than it should. The end of the day approaches, and because we haven't got everything done that we intended to, we start to feel guilty, and then of course it trickles on into the evening. So instead, get very clear on what your priorities are each day. I recommend no more than 3. Work with clear, absorbed focus, deep work throughout the day, and then if you do make meaningful progress, you're more likely to give yourself permission to switch off when the evening arrives. Tip number 2, have a very clear, well-defined deadline for work every day. It might sound obvious, but again, because it's so easy now to take your work home with you, unless you have a very clear, defined deadline for work each day, then of course it's just going to trickle on over. So decide right now, what is the time beyond which you won't do any more work? You decide when it is. It could be 5 p.m, 6 p.m, 7 p.m, doesn't matter. Choose it now and then be disciplined. After that point, no emails, no checking in, no little catch-up emails or, oh, I must do this. Stop. Tip number 3, be way more intentional with your phone use. Again, what you're trying to do is create the conditions when your mind, your brain realize, oh, it can stop thinking, it can stop churning, it can stop focusing on what you're doing. So even if you've set yourself a deadline and you've stopped emails, if you're just transitioning your attention from that type of task to your phone to, I don't know, read the news or check the weather or do whatever you might be doing on your phone, your brain has no signal. So it's still occupying its executive network. It's still in this same state. And consequently, this idea of true attentional dissipation, when your mind starts to wander, it just isn't getting that message. So if you think about our phone use now, most of us, and we're talking 70% or more, checking their phone is the very first thing they do when they wake up. About 70% of people are still on the same device in the last 60 minutes before you go back to bed. 73% of us, I think, sleep with our phone next to our bed. So if that's you, is it any surprise that you can't switch off? Because forever in your environment is this hyper distracting, hyper demanding device, which is nudging your brain into this perpetual state of reactivity, urgency, and it's forever giving you the signal that there's something to do, or there's some cause for your curiosity to be spiked. So what that means is you need to get way more disciplined, way more intentional. Discipline isn't the right word. It's just being more intentional, more self-directed with how you use your devices, your technology, and more aware that to give your brain the space, the conditions where it can start to shift modes, it needs to be out of sight, out of mind. So I would suggest, as a minimum, 60 minutes before you go back to bed, no devices. The easiest ways to do that is simply to charge your phone outside of your bedroom. Get it in the kitchen, get it somewhere else. And what you'll notice, I promise you, is not only will you find it easier to switch off, but you'll probably notice that your mornings are much more calm and relaxed. And maybe you'll get that sense that this ongoing sense of time poverty might be more a reflection on how you're using your attention rather than how you're using your time. Tip number 4, book things in your calendar, in your evenings and in your weekend that you love doing. So here's the way to think about this. When we talk about switching off, I'm not really a fan of the term, because what switching off really is about is giving your brain an opportunity to stop thinking about work. Now, that doesn't have to involve doing nothing. It could instead involve switching on to something else. So what I'd encourage you to do is to think about all the things you wish you had more time for. Maybe it's time with your friends, maybe it's time doing certain hobbies. Some people love cooking, some people like exercising. It could be listening to music, watching movies, whatever, right? You know what those things are. Getting out into nature, learning, painting, art, creativity. For me, it's writing music. So if at 6 p.m. I've got a studio booked when I can just go and create music, I'm not switching off, but you get the picture, right? I'm switching on to something that is recuperative. It's mentally and emotionally nourishing. And consequently, not only does it improve my well-being, but it gives my brain that transitional shift that really I'm seeking when I want to switch off. So book things in your calendar that give you the signal that you need. And then finally, tip number 5, do a weekly brain sweep. What's a brain sweep? Once a week, get a pen and paper and just empty your mind. All of those tasks, errands and to-dos that aren't currently in your calendar, get them out of your head. Because what you're trying to avoid doing this exercise is when you want to switch off or when your head hits the pillow, suddenly it's only then you realize, oh, I didn't send my niece a birthday card and I need to renew my travel insurance. Oh, and I didn't reply to that email. No, your mind right now is probably full of all this unattended tasks. Get it out of your head once a week, have a system, purge, empty, cleanse your mind, and what you'll then find is you'll find it easier to switch off, you'll probably find it easier to fall asleep, and you'll have this increased sense of not just mental clarity, but a greater sense of you're on top of things, which again comes back to this idea of giving you permission to switch off when you want.